Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening. My name is Casey Crable, and I have the great privilege of serving as president of Onondaga Community College. And on behalf of the college, the Board of Trustees, and the foundation, I'd like to welcome each of you and thank you for joining us here this evening for the 2018 Alumni Faces induction ceremony. Before we get started, please join me as we stand for the singing of the National Anthem, performed by Professor of Music, Dr. David Rodari.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Professor Rodari. With us this evening are some special guests I'd like to recognize and welcome. Faithkeeper Orrin Lyons, Town of Onondaga Councilor Mary Ryan, County Councilor and OCC alum Tim Burtis, County Legislator Peggy Chase, and Governor Cuomo's Regional Representative Colleen Deacon. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We're also very proud to welcome back some prior Alumni Face honorees. If you are here when I call your name, if you would stand and be recognized, please. Dr. Anne Marie Apt, OCC Foundation Board Member Sandy Baker, Carol Braund, Lucille Browning, OCC Board of Trustee Member Dr. Donna Desiato, Town of DeWitt Counselor and OCC alumna Karen Doctor, and the parents of Craig Tedeschini, Jim and Cindy, who are representing him after he lost his life while serving in the line of duty in 2006. Thank you for coming home. We welcome you back. I'd like to welcome members of the OCC Foundation that are here and ask them to stand, please, and be thanked. Alicia Calgiovanni and Dennis Hebert both are here this evening, along with our student trustee, Allison Guzman. Could you stand and be thanked? This is a very exciting and special evening as the college proudly recognizes 6 extraordinary OCC alumni who have demonstrated excellence in their careers and throughout their respective communities. With more than 45,000 alumni, the college's selection of our new Alumni Face Award honorees was truly a difficult one, and it's a credit to each one of our recipients here this evening. The Alumni Faces program presents a unique opportunity for us to all pause, honor, and celebrate our alumni who have gone on to live their own personal success stories, made possible by starting their educational journeys here at OCC. Each one of them has gone on to make their mark on Central New York and beyond with notable careers, service to community, and living a life that exemplifies the importance of giving back to others. Dr. Darrell Dykes, an adult and pediatric spine surgeon at SUNY Upstate, OCC graduate, 2018 American Association of Community College Distinguished Alum, and 2009 Alumni Face honoree, said the following: "For me, it all started at OCC and those initial connections with faculty. Their nurturing attitude encouraged me to seek out other mentors at various stages of my life who would have a huge impact on my career. Now that I'm on the other side, there is nothing more gratifying to me than giving someone a chance and to watch them achieve their dream and flourish. It's these reflections from our graduates that truly inspire and drive us to do better for the generations ahead, and that cement the notion of just how important community colleges are for the success of students and for the health of their communities." OCC is fortunate to have such strong community support from our public and private partners and our very own foundation, all of whom contribute much needed and generous support through scholarships and other opportunities to ensure our students are successful in achieving their goals. Here to provide remarks on behalf of the OCC Foundation is Board Chair, Class of '67, and Senior Relationship Manager for Blue Ocean Strategic Capital, LLC, Mr. Dennis Hebert.
Good evening and welcome. It is indeed my honor to be up here tonight on this special evening recognizing and honoring our 2018 Alumni Faces. I am Dennis Hebert. When I graduated from OCC in 1967, a long time ago, I was proud, like many, to be the first in my family to have a college education. At the same time, I was very apprehensive and somewhat fearful about where it's going to take me and what I'm going to do. Deep within, I believed that I was on my way to a better, more successful future. I just wasn't sure what it was. I can tell you one thing: there is no way I would have ever believed back then that I would someday be the chair of the OCC Foundation. Never happened. For those who are unaware, in case there are a couple, the Foundation supports the OCC mission by raising and administering funds for the benefit of the college and the students. The alumni we honor tonight quite likely benefited in some way from the Foundation's efforts. They may have earned a scholarship. They may have received funding to purchase books and materials. Maybe they enjoyed some of the state-of-the-art facilities that we have around us now. Today, the Foundation and the board continue this tradition of making OCC the best it can be for the students who want to make a better life for themselves through obtaining an education. Onondaga Community College continues to be a vital resource to our community. After all, that's our middle name, community. We are committed to provide the best education in technology, healthcare, business, arts, humanities, hospitality, communications, and the list seems to continue to grow every year in the fields that we expand into. The accomplishments of OCC graduates should be celebrated, both in our local community and in the communities that they are in. Honorees, I encourage you to think of the students who will walk through the halls and see your alumni face up and think, look what they did. You will become an example to them, proof that we can accomplish better, even great things, proof that for those that are a little shy and apprehensive, that better things can come through education. Your stories make a difference, and they help to build the confidence of students who will follow in your footsteps. Your stories also inspire the many friends and donors who support the OCC Foundation. They emphasize the impact of what a generous gift does, or the investment of time and training and working with some of our corporate sponsors. For our current students and the community we serve, I thank you, one and all. On behalf of the OCC Foundation and the alumni from far and near, congratulations to the 2018 Familiar Faces. I know you will continue to make us proud. Let's not delay. It's time to hear from our honorees. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Dennis. Onondaga Community College and its Board of Trustees have adopted a 5-year strategic plan entitled Laser Focus. For those of you who may not know, we are the Lasers. Yes, it is spelled with a Z. Yes, we know everyone else spells it with an S. The elements on the plan highlight our mission, Central New York's partner in education for success. And at OCC, our first institutional core value is keep students at the center of all we do. We're proud of this commitment. Our mission, our vision will remain laser focused for the future, and we hope to continue to make significant contributions to the growth of our Central New York region. Woven throughout the 3 main goals in our strategic plan are the contributions and important role that our alumni play. For instance, our new inductees today graciously committed additional time to meet with students and share their story, discuss career development, and answer questions. That served as a really valuable learning opportunity for our current students. These outstanding individuals have created their own pathways to success, and they welcomed the opportunity to encourage and enlighten others to follow their pathway by example. So we gathered this evening to recognize outstanding alumni who are leaders of our community, graduates who have gone on to pursue their dreams and achieve noteworthy success, students who have taken their Onondaga experience into the world and made a mark. Our Alumni Faces selection for 2018 continue a tradition established in 2006 when the college inducted its inaugural class in the hallway of our Gordon Student Center to serve as an inspiration to current students. 12 years and over 60 inductees later, the inspiration continues down the hallway of this beautiful building. This architectural achievement is home to our outstanding music department, spans a gorge of 40 feet. Reaching such heights is remarkable, much like our honorees this evening. So following this ceremony, I invite you to take a stroll down the hallway to see the acrylic panels that are tributes to our current and previous honorees. Our first honoree this evening could not be with us, unfortunately, due to his responsibilities with the Oregon Symphony Orchestra and their performance schedule. David Beaumont Ii graduated from North Syracuse High School and came to OCC in 1978 to major in music. He would go on to earn advanced degrees from the Crane School of Music and the New England Conservatory of Music. He's been fortunate to play in some of the most renowned settings and under the direction of some of the most well-known conductors, including John Williams and Leonard Bernstein. In addition to his work with the Oregon Symphony, he is also part of the music faculty at Portland State University, and I'm pleased to share with you a portion of his remarks. He writes, "My time at Onondaga Community College was formative in every sense of the word. It was the best possible place to start my musical training, and it's no exaggeration to say whatever success I have had throughout my career is directly related to the lessons I learned there. Over the last 30 years, I've been fortunate enough to have performed with some of the greatest orchestras in the world, from Boston to New York, from Israel to Oregon. I've performed classical masterworks on concert stages like Carnegie Hall and on movie soundtracks heard in theaters around the world. Everywhere I go, people ask where I got started and how, and the answer is always the same. While I have studied at multiple nationally known institutions, the dream to play music and the necessary skills to attain that dream were first fostered and encouraged at Onondaga Community College. Without the care and attention shown by OCC faculty at that early stage, nothing else would have been possible. I remember my time at OCC with great fondness. The landscape was different then, of course, long before the spectacular facilities that the school now boasts. In those days, we practiced with brooms and mops in the facilities service building, and honestly, we couldn't have been happier. Coming from that unpretentious beginning taught me several lifelong lessons, most importantly that hard work and dedication are the same anywhere. With the right attitude and guidance, the practice halls of OCC are just as effective as the halls of Juilliard. I'm honored and proud to receive this recognition from my alma mater, OCC. To be recognized alongside these talented and richly deserving fellow graduates of Onondaga is an unexpected and humbling experience that I will never forget. Please join me in a round of applause for David Beaumont Ii. And we're delighted here to have with us here this evening 4 current OCC students who are pursuing degrees in the fields related to those of our honorees, who will be introducing them this evening. Our first student presenter is Tommy Valentine. Tommy is a graduate of Chittenango High School and is a second-year electronic media communications student and will graduate in May. He's a member of Phi Theta Kappa and also plays percussion in our campus music ensembles. He plans to transfer to Syracuse's Newhouse School of Public Communication to further his education in broadcasting. Please join me in welcoming Tommy Valentine.
Thank you, Dr. Crable. James Campagna is a native of Central New York who grew up in Lyncourt and earned a radio and television degree at OCC before transferring to SUNY Oswego. After graduation, he spent much of his early broadcasting career covering news at WHEN Radio in Syracuse. In 1991, he became a news producer at WIXT-TV in Syracuse, now known as WSYR-TV, News Channel 9. In 2015, he was promoted to news director. Throughout his career, Campagna shared his expertise with the next generation of professionals, serving as an adjunct professor in OCC's electronic media communications until 2015, and still serves on its advisory board. Mr. James Campagna, congratulations.
I'm truly humbled and honored by this award tonight. Thank you, President Crable, members of the OCC Board of Trustees, fellow honorees, my family, Lucille, my wife, my children, Alyssa, member of the class of 2010, my son Jamie, his girlfriend Kelly, who is celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Kelly. Other members of my family, my brother Anthony, his wife Barb, my brother-in-law Rick, his wife Marilyn, my nephew Rick's here, my members of my News Channel 9 family are here. So I know it's Italian family, but that's it. One other story I have to share. My best friend Bob, I forgot Bob and Annette, my best friend Bob. Bob and Jamie both mentioned that I'm on the dais with 2 outstanding athletes. And they know my athletic ability, and they said they better savor that moment because I'm not much of an athlete. I do have to mention today was wonderful going to the speak of the EMC department, having lunch with Dr. Crable and other honorees, and I detected a theme. I wrote this speech a few days ago, and I detected a theme that was in my speech that we talked about today, and I'll get into that. Excuse me, several months ago, my coworker Dan Cummings, who's here, was named to the Syracuse Press Club Wall of Fame. In his speech, he said he took time to go look at the Wall of Fame, to look at the inductees. So I took Dan's advice. I went to the OCC, I went to Gordon Student Center, and looked at some of the honorees, and I know there's a wall over here, and it's just astonishing the professionals that you're now recognized with, as long as friends like Frank Malfitano, Jim Reith, classmates John Del Vecchio, Kathy Rowe, even students like Nico Tamarian, who was a student of mine. John and Kathy were part of the previous 2 induction ceremonies, and forgive me, you may hear a familiar theme to this wonderful event. They probably said the same thing. I would not be where I am today professionally without the teaching and guidance of the people who were part of what was called the Radio and Television Department in 1976, now the EMC Department. Kathy Hawkins, she was the leader of the department. Mrs. Hawkins was one of those special people who you knew right away what she taught you in class you were going to take away with you the rest of your life. Vinny Spadafora introduced me to, I'll say quotes, professional broadcasting, more on that in a bit. There was Rob Gagne, we affectionately called him Uncle Rob, taught me everything about radio. And there were others, Jerry Barsha, Richard Cobb, David Hawkins, and of course Nancy Licata. And I mentioned to the class today, Mike Kaminsky, Tony Vidala, Mark Mangicaro, Mark Ballard. They continued that tradition without missing a beat. The students today are just as lucky as I was to have those people as professors. Excuse me. I came to OCC in September of '76. I was one of those fortunate people who always knew what they wanted to do as a child, be in radio and television. Those 7 people instilled a work ethic in me and challenged me and all of us to work hard and become successful. I can recall the night staying on the 2nd floor of what was then Coulter Library. There was no Whitney. Midnight or late working on a class project, working at WOCC as sports director, doing play-by-play baseball games into a tape recorder, playing them back on the radio station, knowing no one listened because the signal only went to the student center then. Is truth. Now, I mentioned Vinny introducing me to professional broadcasting. Those were winners traveling to Oneida. WMCR radio on a Friday night. I was 18 on a Friday night, getting in a car, driving to Oneida, meet with Vinny Spadafora. He used to do play-by-play for Tri-Valley basketball. My current coworker, Marty Cecilia, was the color commentator. We would travel to places like Holland, Patton, Camden, Outpost in Madison, Oneida counties. My job would be to do the stats and read the halftime stats on the air, and that was a big deal, reading halftime stats on the air. I was telling Russ Corbin when he was interviewing me a couple of months ago about this, and then it hit me. Vinny never paid me, never fed me, never even offered me gas money, and Tony Vidala reminded me today that Vinny probably even made you drive to the games, and I go, I think he did. I won't get into the rest of the story, Tony. But I loved every minute of it. I got my first job. It was then WYRD radio with 3 other students at OCC, thanks to the help of OCC, and went from there to WSCN, WHEN, and I've been at Channel 9 and love it for 26 years. What I've had the privilege of that many others haven't, I've come back to OCC and I taught 15 years in the EMC department. Here's January 2001, Tony Vidala calls me. It's about 8:30 in the morning. He goes, Jim, how'd you like to teach a class, sportscasting class? I go, sure, that'd be great. When do I start? In September? He goes, no, 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I was up here at 2 o'clock. Tony introduced me to the class. Here's my sportscasting class, and it was 2001, syllabus or syllabi weren't on computer and stuff, so you just placed a bunch of manila folders. Here's what they did, and I was fortunate enough, I had some great students. I taught sportscasting, news writing, and for a long time what was called EMC 101, which was basically an introduction to mass media. It was just a great experience. Professionally, it's a great satisfaction of seeing your former students. I work with some of my former students in production. Some of my former students are on the air at CNY Central and Spectrum, and I work with them at News Channel 9. And in 15 years as an adjunct, I felt it was my responsibility to pass on the knowledge and passion that I learned as a student here at OCC to the students that I taught. I know my wife and children will tell you it's a great thrill when someone comes up to you and says, Mr. Campagna, I had you. I'm not sure you remembered me, but I loved your class. That's really great to know. And I think that's what OCC is all about, the camaraderie that develops between the staff and students, and it continues long after we leave. I think it's something special for a community college. And today at lunch, and like I said, these were written a couple days ago. Today at lunch, we talked about Dr. Crable, who knows students personally, knows their background, and she that's the best part of the job. You know, the paperwork can go, be put aside, go later. So, and anybody who works with me knows that's a fact. So my message, my mantra for 40 years to young people interested in journalism has not changed. Go to OCC, learn the business. You're going to get hands-on experience more than anywhere else. I'm sorry, I'm just an emotional person. And when you go on to 4 years, you'll be ahead of everyone else. And I'm truly humbled and honored, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Jim. Our next student presenter is Michaela Granger. Michaela was homeschooled in high school and is currently a sophomore humanities major. She's a member of BASIC, Brothers and Sisters in Christ, as well as Phi Theta Kappa, where she serves as co-vice president for leadership. She's also an honor student ambassador. Michaela plans to transfer after graduation to a four-year school to pursue a bachelor's in history. Please welcome Michaela.
Thank you, Dr. Crable. A stalwart supporter of education and the local community, Nancy Pasquale began her studies at OCC in 1988 and was a founding member of the college's Phi Theta Kappa program, the National Honor Society for Community Colleges. After finishing her education at SUNY Cortland and Syracuse University, she taught high school English at Solvay High School until her retirement in 2015. She spends her time writing, volunteering, serving on boards for local nonprofit agencies, and advocating for animals. Nancy Pasquale and her husband and fellow Alumni Face honoree, Mark Ray, also serve as co-chairs of the OCC Advantage Fundraising Initiative. Mrs. Nancy Pasquale, congratulations.
Jim, I'm emotional for another reason. A fellow Italian, you'll understand this. When I walked out into the hallway, I saw my husband and I, our faces are on cookies. I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Our faces are on cookies. Wow. It's good to be in the company of 5 great men. It's not so good if it's Congress, but I'll be good. I'm sorry, I'll be good. Dr. Crable, board members, faculty, staff, students, family, and friends, I am humbled and grateful for this honor. A life of service does not need money or an excess of time. From my family, I learned early on that a good conversation, a cookie, and a cup of coffee around the table could be healing. From my Franciscan education, I learned that a smile could save someone's life. And from friends, I've learned that hugs are imprints on the soul. So it's easy to refute that old song that says, "It's not how you start, it's how you finish." Oh, how I disagree. When I finally found myself at OCC in my 30s, I was filled with trepidation. I was twice as old as the average student. Would this institution offer me the wonders and wisdom I'd found in all other aspects of my life till now? Yes, and then some. Here is where I also learned to give freely of my knowledge, wisdom, and time, watching every professor who did the yeoman's job with ease. Dave Stoddard says that getting the most out of your life isn't about how much you keep for yourself, but how much you pour into others. And I felt that unequivocally here at Onondaga Community College. You can easily see that daily if you walk the halls in any building where Dr. Casey Craybill knows practically every student by name and engages fully with them, validating each in powerfully personal ways. 30 years earlier, I found equally personal investment. The SUNY motto is to learn, to search, to serve. How apt. And each professor I met years ago exemplified that statement. From Vern Sugarman's psychology class, where I'd be mesmerized by her deep, gravelly voice and intensity, always trying to find her face through the thick cloud of smoke as she puffed her way through lectures. Some of you remember Vern Sugarman. I'd come to love the much-hated discipline of math through the vibrant teaching of Miss Candy Dance, where I received my first ever A+ on a math exam. Hence, took others to repeat that joy. From Dave Bundy's ecology class, I learned on the first day that if we remembered the most important thing he'd teach us all year, that everything must go somewhere, we'd get an A on his final. He wrote under my A, "Thanks for remembering." How could I forget? He let me remain on the bus when he trekked the rest of the students through the human waste plant on Hiawatha Boulevard. I was not going in. Or Dr. of Zoology, Dr. Carbonero, whom I love dearly, hung on his every word and still know a dorsal fin from a madreporate. Then there was my shero and still friend, sociology professor Dr. Lois Easterday, whose class changed me in immeasurable ways, whose text and lectures were key elements in every piece of literature I taught in high school. I called on her expertise often throughout my career, and she always came through. Then came Professor of Philosophy, Macmillan the Great. Concerned I wouldn't get an A if I couldn't dissect Plato's Republic, I'd plead for his help. He leaned in and quietly declared, "It has been said if you read it 3 more times, Plato appears in your dreams, and he reveals his context in easy-to-understand terms." I did just that. He did not appear. I got an A, and Macmillan guffawed when I complained, saying, "Miss Pasquale, repetition is good for the brain cells. No harm, no foul." I would repeat that for 20-something years in my classroom. And finally, one of the best legacies beyond this most auspicious award is a young man who is sitting in this audience tonight, and I'm not going to cry, whom I met when he was just 19, a college student and waiter in a local restaurant. Justin Pritchard got everything about my order wrong. You did, admit it. And thankfully so. For when I asked what he wanted to do with the rest of his life, he excitedly exclaimed, "Oh, I want to be an English teacher." I gave him my district information. He called a year later, did his practicum, then student teaching in my class. We hired this brilliant mind. He was my dearest colleague for 10 years and is now carrying on the legacy of all those caring, giving, knowledgeable, and wise professors I mentioned earlier as an associate professor of English studies here at OCC. You see, as Disraeli said, the greatest good you can do for another is not just to share your riches, but to reveal to them their own. My riches and self-revelation came from the start, not the finish, revealed through all whom I've mentioned, friends, family, and educators. And like John Dewey said, education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Finally, speaking of riches and gratitude, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the most giving and highly successful person I know, whose life's work has always been paying it forward. When I decided to get my BA, then master's, I told my husband, Mark Ray, also a Faces recipient tonight, that he'd have to kick in and help around the house more than ever. I came home the first night of class. I found him still in his suit and tie at 8 p.m. with a pot of chili on the stove and a chicken in the oven and a clean house. Success doesn't happen in a vacuum, or maybe it does. Notorious RBG Ruth Bader Ginsburg credits her husband Marty for her ability to succeed so freely, so unencumbered. Mark is my Marty. Thank you, Mark, for all your love and support. Thank you, OCC, for being this unparalleled institution with quintessentially qualified educators, for embracing me all of these years, and for this humbling award. And thank you, friends and family, for sharing this wonderful night with us.
Thank you, Michaela, and congratulations, Nancy. Our next student presenter this evening is Milkha Arencibia. Milkha graduated from high school in Cuba and has been living in the United States for the past 2.5 years. Her major is business administration, and she is currently the treasurer of the Spanish Club. She is in her second year at OCC and wants to transfer to the University of Albany to major in accounting after graduation. Please welcome Milkha.
Thank you, Dr. Crable. An active community leader and volunteers in the arts, healthcare, education, and human services, Mark Ray attended OCC shortly after starting his real estate career. His 40-year career includes serving as the Vice President and General Manager of Howard Hanna Real Estate Services, recognized with NYSARC's Community Service Award. He also has been named Realtor of the Year and twice named Realtor Broker Manager of the Year. His steadfast support of the college includes terms on the foundation board and leadership of the OCC Advantage Campaign with his wife, fellow Alumni Faces honoree Nancy Pasquale. He earned the John Mulroy Founders Award in 2013. Please welcome to 2018, Mark Ray.
I'm the third Italian up here who also gets emotional. And it's not fair because whenever I hear my wife speak, I cry no matter what. So starting with Jim and then to Nancy, it's just a given. So bear with me. I am truly humbled, I am honored, and I'm appreciative of all of my friends, my family, and my coworkers that are out there sitting there. Thank you. You know who you are. And I'm so proud of you, Nancy. I'm crying through half of your speech. I said with Jim's wife, how am I going to go up there and do this? So with a deep breath, let me begin. I'd like to share with you, I attended West Virginia University right out of high school, and I hold that experience near and dear to my heart. It's very special and life-changing for me. Years later, I received a degree from Syracuse University, and treasure that as well. But it was returning to college in OCC in my 20s after taking a gap year, like so many students do, with every intention of returning, but then life happens to get in the way, and those good intentions just don't happen. So when I had started my career in real estate for Gallinger Real Estate and asked our company president, John Gallinger, owner of the #1 company in Central New York real estate at the time, what do I need to do to be running this company someday? He replied, go back to school and get your degree. So I took a deep breath, like I am right now, to talking in front of you all. So I took a deep breath and I came to OCC. At 25, returning to school full-time while selling real estate full-time was daunting. I did not know what to expect. What I came to find out was that I would soon receive an arduous education like no other. Nothing against WVU or Syracuse University. They are fine institutions, and I gained much valuable life experience from both of them. But it truly was Onondaga Community College where I received my education. I thought it being a community college, it would be a breeze. As an older returning student of 25, everything's relative, and paying my own way, I took my education seriously. I was determined to graduate with honors. I soon realized this college meant business. Class sizes were small, and you could not get lost or away with anything, like I did in my previous experiences. My executive assistant, Sharon Deneen, who I am grateful is here today, laughs at my horribly illegible handwriting. Cher, I never told you this, but I have OCC to thank for that. They gave me a great education, and they taught me how to write illegibly. You're thinking, well, how so? Being an older returning student and preparing for exams, I soon learned some of the younger students would sit nearby and glance over at my paper during exams. So I started to write poorly. I figured a quick glance would not be so easy to make out. Well, let's just say my Catholic school cursive handwriting took on a new appearance and a habit that I have kept to this day. I'm not a doctor, as so many of my instructors here at Onondaga were, but I certainly now have handwriting like one. I got to know my teachers well, and I liked them very much. God rest your soul, Vern Sugarman. We became dear friends. And you taught me much as you smoked up a storm during class, which was the case in those days. Yes, as Nancy said, teachers smoked while teaching class back then. Kind of hard to imagine that, isn't it? Is that something you want to bring back? I don't think so. To this day, I am still friends with many of them. I see local theater critic James McKillop often at shows all these years later. He has kidded me that I was one of only a few students who ever received an A+ from him. He did not give out praise easily then, nor did I find out years later, he did not give out rave reviews unless they were deserved. He critiqued a performance I was in at Cortland Repertory Theater a couple of years ago with, shall I say, kindness. In other words, he merely mentioned I was in it. Nothing good or bad. You know what that means. Later, seeing him in an audience at another show we were both attending, he asked me, now what kind of an accent were you portraying in that Agatha Christie show? Man, I even studied with a speech coach for that play. I am very grateful for that man. After graduation, his glowing letter of recommendation helped ensure my receiving that first manager's job at Gallinger Real Estate a half-mile down the road from here, starting me on my way to my goals. I still have that letter 33 years later. And I am so heartened with great joy that all those years ago, while Nancy and I struggled, persevered, and encouraged each other, at opposite ends of our dining room table, stacked high with college books, that our faces will now hang beside one another in our alma mater that we both so cherish. Thank you, Nancy. I could never have done it without you. Your love, your support, your understanding, and your patience. Lincoln said, see, Jim, look what you started. Lincoln said, my peculiar ambition is to be held in high esteem by my fellow man for doing something worthy. I did graduate with honors, and all these years later, you honor me here today. Thank you, OCC. I am grateful.
Thank you, Milkha, and congratulations, Mark. Our final honorees this evening are brothers who will be celebrated together. Here to present them tonight is Kyle Worsley. Kyle comes to OCC from South Carroll High School in Maryland. He's a second-year communication major and is also one of the captains of the men's lacrosse team. He plans to transfer in the spring after graduation to further his interests in lacrosse and advance his education in media studies. Please welcome Kyle.
Thank you, Dr. Crable. It is my pleasure to introduce Jeremy and Jerome Thompson, who are part of the first family when it comes to the sport of lacrosse. From high school through the college ranks, Jeremy and Jerome accumulated a combined 10 All-American and 4 national championships. This duo was part of the initial lacrosse team here at OCC that would set the standard and pave the way for the success and tradition that we have today. Both are currently playing in the National Lacrosse League, are members of the Iroquois national team, and are the faces of Nike Lacrosse. Despite all their well-earned success, they remain humble and continue to give back, particularly to the Native American community, to instill the youth with the opportunity and inspiration to advance themselves through hard work and dedication, not only in the game of lacrosse, but also in the classroom, which is their most endearing quality. Jeremy and Jerome Thompson, congratulations.
Okay, I'd like to start off by just congratulating all the other honorees. I grew up learning my Native American language, and coming out of high school, I wasn't the smartest student, but coming here to OCC, it helped me build my confidence and made me feel comfortable coming to a school like this. First off, I'd like to thank my high school coach, and he just for helping me through high school and helping me get to learn the English language. Secondly, I'd like to thank Coach Wilbur, my lacrosse coach here, for just that continuing support and the guidance through just building my confidence as an athlete. I'd also like to thank my parents here tonight, just for the continuing support throughout my life, just for that guidance of helping me become the man I am today. Lastly, I'd like to thank my wife and my kids here tonight. For all the support through my my busy professional and my business career. I'm always on the road, so just thank you for always being there. My kids, for that extra push to continue to better myself each and every day. Thank you.
Yawa scano sagwegi na guy kwa guy hit na ni also no then the guy dakwa na ni wa gasete the next one going to say then it's going to say this guy not getting it doing it. First and foremost, I was always taught, as a youngster in my community, always to to be thankful and to be humble, because that's a lot of how our ways have teaching us and taught us about everything that's been given here on earth. And to be thankful for that. And the very first thing that I mentioned was, I gave thanks, for today, this day, and this opportunity. And I also mentioned my Native American name, which means Gayakwa Gaihit, which means the sun is leaning. And that's my identity and who I am. And I was always taught as a youngster in my community to speak my native tongue, because that's an identity and part of who I am in today's society. And with that, along with the other honors, I'd like to thank, being honored here today. I think the general theme here has been, a pretty emotional thing, but I'm gonna try not to cry here, but get emotional. But I think it just goes to show, that we're only human. Emotions are something that we've been given right from birth, and that's one of the things that I've always been thankful for and honored, and throughout my journey. And with that. I'd like to obviously, thank my parents, for bringing me into this world, because without them, I wouldn't be here without them, from the start. So I really thank my parents, along from there, going up through my journey, through my middle school teachers, stuff like that, right from the beginning of my journey. I remember the very first few words I remember learning from the English language was the and. And it's just funny to reflect back and think back on everything, the progression that I come from back then to today. And it was, it's been a long, hard, grueling, hard work ethic, coming through. And that's one of the things I've come to learn that, and I've been appreciative is that, throughout my journey and being thankful for everything in my life and my opportunities that come out. And, I'm very thankful, as, the rest of the honorees, coming in and thinking along their whole progress with a lot of things that people have come through in their life. And, OCC for me was definitely a stepping stone that's been meant for me. And reflecting back on that opportunity, obviously my first dream was to go straight to, Syracuse University, but that didn't happen for me. And, I look back and reflect back and, how humble I am and thankful and believing, because I've come to learn that when you believe, you're putting faith into the Creator / God. Things don't just happen by chance, which is I call luck. And, so I've come to learn that, in my recent years that, I'm really blessed and humbled, to have all the things that come into my path in my lifetime. And I'm very, thankful for that. The people in my community, have one of my elders here, Oren Lyons here, that's taught me a lot along my journey. Just with him just being a simple person with simple phrases that he's mentioned. And along from that, going on with my journey onto Syracuse University, I never thought I would be where I am today without the hard work ethic, the roadblocks in my lifetime, and those going off of that. And I'd like to really thank, my family and, being a part of that and being along my journey. With that, I'm honored to be here today to be an inductee into the OCC Induction of Hall of Fame. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, and congratulations, Jeremy and Jerome. And to all the students who presented this evening, you make us really proud. Thank you. This day has been filled with distinguished alumni coming back to campus and inspiring our students and all of us. We sincerely appreciate the time each of you have given to be a part of a master class or a special dialogue with our students and our faculty, and we can't thank you enough for your willingness to engage with us in such a meaningful way. From a proud and a grateful institution and community, we salute you, and we extend our sincere congratulations as our 2018 class of Alumni Face honorees. Congratulations. Our reception will begin shortly in the beautiful practice room of this building, giving you an opportunity to see not only more of this building, but heading you down the hall where you can find our Alumni Face installation. Before we move to the reception, it is my pleasure to bring back Professor of Music, Dr. David Rodari, who will perform our alma mater to close out the program. Please welcome Dr. Rodari. Thank you, Dr. Rodari, for both of your wonderful performances. To all of our guests, we appreciate your support Thank you for attending our ceremony this evening. Congratulations once again to our honorees, and please join us next door for a celebratory reception. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your evening.